Richard, Chris, I'm looking forward to you. You're going to talk to us about using agentic AI in a much more proactive and predictive manner to stop that load coming into the IT world. So really looking forward to this one. Richard, Chris, I'll hand over to you and I'll see you at the end of the session.
Thanks, John, and good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today. Both Richard and I have been with BigPanda for coming up to 4 years as we look to grow our European presence. So we're really excited to talk to you a little bit around BigPanda to raise awareness about what agentic operations is and what it could mean for you. I would start with a level set. So BigPanda isn't your traditional ITSM platform, but what we do is we help empower the users that work out of that ITSM. So bringing together multiple different data sources to empower you to achieve your roles more effectively. So we're going to talk a little bit today about what BigPanda does, how we help organizations, and then we'll also be showing you some of the technology. Richard, if you could go to the next slide, please. So why does BigPanda exist? So for most organizations, we typically see that recurring incidents are causing around 20 to 40% of the workload. So lots of difficulty in providing accurate root causes, a lack of understanding of how to fix issues, perhaps there's poor documentation, people leaving the organization take knowledge with them. So the focus of the presentation today is really going to be around how do we harness all of the operational and institutional knowledge around your business and then service that back to service desk, ITSM, operations, infrastructure teams to really respond to incidents faster. So our vision here at BigPanda is really threefold. First of all, Richard, if you could kindly move on. First of all, it is to accelerate L1 operations, get to incidents faster, really respond to those kind of incidents that are being raised from monitoring and observability tools so that organizations can keep up service availability. The second part is to supercharge the major incident management process. When things go wrong, it normally has a customer, revenue, or SLA impact to a business, colleague outages, customer outages, dissatisfaction. How can we arm the teams that are responsible for service restoration to fix things better? The holy grail for our customers is all around predicting and preventing incidents. So we'll show you some functionality today that will allow you to analyze changes that are going into your environment so that you can prevent issues before that they occur. So how does that look like in terms of the platform? So the platform has 4 parts to it. The first is what we're going to cover today is around our AI incident prevention platform. This is where we use agentic technology to quantify changes before they go into your environment. A statistic says that around 73% of all major incidents are caused by a change. That's huge impact in terms of workload, in terms of revenue loss, in terms of risk. So preventing that can be huge for improving service reliability. The second part of the platform is what we call AI detection response. That's geared more towards IT operations and network operation teams to reduce the amount of noise that's coming into their environment, help them with automatic prioritization, and ultimately for handling IT incidents faster. A stepping stone from that platform is that once you've built confidence in what the AI is suggesting, that's kind of like, how do we take it to the next step with our L1 agent? So the work that's been doing in AI detection response involves a human in the loop. The L1 agent takes that next step further and starts to automate based on the recommendations that have been made previously. And then the final piece of the platform is our incident assistant. We hear from many organizations that they often have 40, 50, 60 people on a bridge call. I think the record was around 300 that we've heard. how can we help them improve that major incident process right the way through from getting people on the line through to understanding what the potential root cause might be, trying to solve the issue, and we'll see a little bit of that in the platform today. So the two green boxes are what they're going to consist of the demo, which we'll get into very shortly. And with that, I'm going to ask for the first poll, and there should be a data point which I've shared on this slide. Thanks, Harley. Be interesting to see how people come in. Okay, so there's some eager listeners here. Interesting that 85%, that's the answer I gave at a recent event.
These do feel similar to what we see with most of our customers. Hey, Chris.
Yeah. We did do this recently at an event, and the winner won a Lego Ferrari, I think it was. So you'll have to look out for the next BigPanda events if you like quizzes. Okay, cool. We're going to close the quiz now. It was those that had a fast start with 73%, which was the correct answer. So 73% of all major incidents are caused by a change. Okay, next slide, please. So what differentiates BigPanda? And it's all about what we call the IT knowledge graph. So I talked a little bit earlier around how to empower users within the IT service management platform. Perhaps you work out of Teams, perhaps you work out of Slack. And really the power of BigPanda is bringing together the various different data sets from around your business. So that could be service desk tickets, it could be phone calls, it could be previous transcripts from major incident calls, it could be postmortems, it could be machine generated data from your observability tools, it could be changes that are coming into your environment. And really what we're trying to do here is to bring together the 4 different categories that you see on the left hand side. So it's around topological context, organizational context, what does this mean to my business? Do I have certain naming conventions? Historical context, so have I seen this type of incident or this type of ticket before? And then the situational context, what's happening now? What are people telling me? And it's only really when you bring all of this together do you have that really powerful context to fix the incident that's in front of you, not only in the moment, but then in the future as we look at automation strategies. It's really about having that full context to understand where the problem really lies before we look at kind of resoluting that in an automated fashion. So the IT knowledge graph goes very differently from what might be a traditional CMDB, which is fairly static in nature, provides something that has been maybe manually inputted or relies on a single source, to a much broader context that allows organizations and users to better fix the problem in front of them. And with that, I'll open for the second poll, please. It's interesting to see if people have heard of an IT knowledge graph before, or something they've used before. Perfect. So most people that have answered a state system for context, behavior, and relationships got that one right. So well done to you guys. Thank you for taking part. Okay, the final slide from me. So why does this all matter? If I go back to thinking about why BigPanda exists, it's around improving service reliability, improving customer satisfaction, maybe reducing SLA penalties. And if you think about what has to happen during a major incident, all of those steps on the left-hand side that say manual process can take minutes to hours, whether it being understanding the root cause, check what's going on in the service desk, who's on call right now, who should I page, and then when you've completed the incident, writing a comprehensive post-mortem. It can take a lot of time, it can take a lot of manpower. And so the idea with BigPanda is that we are taking away a lot of that low-level manual effort so that the teams can upskill and focus on those more important tasks. And also, the longer that you're spending doing all of these tasks, the more impact these incidents are having for your customers and your colleagues. So enough from me. Let's see some of this technology in action, and I'll pass over to you, Richard.
Thanks, Chris. Great. So let's have a look at some of this technology in action for you. So today we're going to cover, as Chris mentioned, two parts of the platform. We're going to talk about our AI Incident Assistant, which is designed to really help you understand, mobilize, and assess impact of incidents more quickly, and ultimately help you solve those incidents more quickly. We're then going to have a look at our incident prevention capability, which is really geared towards preventing those incidents from happening in the first place. So how can we take all of that information that we've seen within the IT knowledge graph and apply that to predict the risk of putting changes into place within our IT systems? So those are the two capabilities we're going to have a look at. The first capability we're going to look at today is our AI Incident Assistant. It's affectionately known as Biggie. I use the term Biggie and Incident Assistant interchangeably. It's become part of the vernacular. So if I talk about Biggie, realize I'm talking about the Incident Assistant. And really where it makes itself known is a really expert L3 assistant who can be used by any team members at any time to help them solve problems more quickly. It has applications across just simple troubleshooting, question and answer within an incident process, but it can also do other things like agentically troubleshoot problems for you. It can run major incident calls for you, which is kind of what we're going to have a look at today. And it can also take care of tasks such as writing up post-mortem reports, creating the basis of RCA reports for you, as well as doing kind of agentic checks around the business as well. So it's a bit of a toolbox for you to use agentically to allow you to have an expert on hand at any time to dive into that IT knowledge graph and really give you a head start in solving issues. So we're going to look at the demo in Slack today. I can see that one of my colleagues has contacted me. Imagine I'm working in the Global NOC Center. One of my colleagues has said to me, hey team, look, I'm seeing quite a few issues and tickets coming through from users that can't log into applications. In this particular case, the My HR application is having some issues and they're reaching out to me to find out if I can help. We can see that Biggie is automatically interjected here or in this particular scenario. And so what it's done is it is watching this particular channel and looking at all of the questions that are being asked and working out whether it can agentically answer those questions for the users and for the questions that are being asked. And in this particular case, it's looking at people requesting help for particular problems, and it's going to go ahead and do an autonomous investigation for us. And that's exactly what it's done here. It's interjected, and it's given me a few key pieces of information, saving me a lot of time in doing these investigations manually. So it's given me a TLDR of what's going on in this particular incident. It's actually reached out to my observability platforms to see if it can find any information about alerts or information that my observability platforms are telling me. It's actually looked into my SSO topology to give me an understanding of the various CIs and the various pieces of hardware which are actually supporting our SSO technology. It's actually looked into some of my standard operating procedures and my previous playbooks to understand whether there are some steps that I could take to try and solve this particular issue. It's then had a look at changes that we've been making around the business to see if there's maybe a change which is causing this issue for us. And then lastly, what it's done is it's looked at who might be on call and who might be able to help me solve this particular issue. And it's gone through this fully agentically, fully automatically, in order to give me a head start in solving this issue. So as Chris mentioned on the previous slides, these kind of tasks can take minutes to hours to kind of collate all of this information together. And Biggie has done that in just a few seconds for me. So let's imagine that Biggie hasn't interjected in this particular example, and I wanted to engage it to do some troubleshooting for me. So I can very quickly just say, hey, Biggie, can you help me do something? And I'm going to ask it to help me troubleshoot SSO login issues. So Biggie is coming into the conversation now. I've actually engaged it, and what it's doing is it's working out how it can help. So the first thing it's done is looked at the natural language that I've given it and worked out kind of what it should be doing to try and help me. in this particular example, it's going to troubleshoot an issue for me. And then what it's doing now is looking through all of that IT knowledge graph information to look for context, to look for connections, to look for information that can help me troubleshoot these type of issues. And as you can see, in just a few seconds, it's come back with some information that can help me. So let's have a look at what it's actually done. So it helped me troubleshoot these SSO login issues. And if you have a look, it's retrieved 32 different documentation from pieces of documentation from 10 different sources within our IT knowledge graph. It's looked through all of that information and synthesized that out in just 30 seconds for me to help me understand like the shape of this particular problem that I've got. Again, it's given me a TLDR at the top here of what I should be looking at right now. It's given me an explanation of why it thinks this TLDR is important. So it's looked at previous incidents, previous changes that we've got within our organization that look fairly similar to the problem that we're seeing right now. It's given me an understanding of teams and individuals who have been involved in these type of incidents in the past. So if I'm thinking about like getting a bridge call together, I should be thinking about getting people like Emily Davis onto that call or Mark Thompson, because those are SMEs who've helped in the past. So rather than having that bridge call from hell with 300 people, maybe I can start getting the 10 people who are actually going to try and help me solve this particular problem on a call. We can see past incident priority so that we can start thinking about actually if I need to promote this into a major incident. We can see things like impact as well. So based on past information, what are those connections that either from CMDB or from kind of like other sources that are connecting this application to other applications so that we can start understanding things like the impact of this particular incident. We've got some related tickets, we've got some diagnosis and remediation steps. So very, very quickly, all of those kind of steps that Chris talked about in terms of like manual steps that people go through, BigE has done for us very, very quickly in just 30 seconds, allowing us to kind of get ahead of the incident very quickly. So I'm going to declare this as a major incident, and BigE can help with that as well. So I'm going to say, hey, BigE, can you create me a major incident channel, please? And BigE's going to agentically help me do that. So I'm going to give this particular major incident a very brief title. We can have BigE actually do things like automate investigation within the channel for us if we wanted to do that. It's going to give me a primary incident channel name. It's going to give me an incident ticket. And it's also going to set up some communication channels for me. So all of those manual tasks that I tend to do as an incident commander within a major incident, scribe the incident, keep people up to date, send out executive updates, maybe update status pages. BigE is going to take care of all of that kind of for me agentically. So let's go ahead, create my particular incident, and we'll see BigE setting up the channel here. So here we can see BigE's updated and created this new channel for me. It's going to pin a banner to the top of the channel, keeping everybody updated with the kind of current state of play of this particular incident. You can see that it's set up a bridge call for me, and it's going to transcribe that bridge call as well. And it's also made a broadcast onto the channel around what's going on, but also broadcast that out onto an executive channel for me as well. So I imagine that we have executive leaders who need to be kept up to date of major incidents that are going on. They can be kept up to date within this major incident broadcast channel without actually understanding the nuts and bolts of the troubleshooting that's been going on within the channel itself. And BigE is taking care of all of that kind of workflow for me. So let's imagine people start chatting within the channel. So Tom's coming into the channel and starting to talk about users having issues with SSO, understanding which applications are impacted. And we'll see in a second that Annie Wolf comes in and says, hey, look, there are some other applications which are being impacted by our particular outage. And what BigE is going to do is it's going to keep all of that information up to date within my channel here. So users coming into this major incident can see what's going on very quickly and don't have to keep asking the same questions again, like what applications have been impacted by this? How are we going to solve it? Are we seeing the SSO issues across other applications? So let's imagine that this is all kind of like running its course. People are starting to do some digging. They're using Biggie to actually investigate the incident itself. And we can see that Biggie's actually surfaced a recent database change that may be causing this particular issue. So the team are going to work on doing a rollback. They're going to look at a rollback plan and actually go and roll back the clusters that are having the particular problem. And so what we're going to do is we're going to see that Biggie is kind of keeping the whole incident channel up to date with all of the stuff that is going on. You can see here that Biggie's already updated that a rollback plan is being referenced and that RCA instructions are being enacted and the rollback is being made. And then you can see that actually Biggie, Annie has said that the login for these different applications looks to be working now as well. And so Biggie will have noted that and actually added it up to the top there. So it looks like we're back on track with this particular incident. I might want to send out an executive update to my executives to say that we're all running okay. In this particular example, I've asked Biggie to keep me in the loop on that executive update. So rather than sending it straight over to my major incident channel, I've asked it to say, hey, look, can you approve this update before it goes out to my major incident channel? And here's that update approval. So I can see the update that Biggie is going to make, and I can approve that, and that gets sent over to my executives as well. So we're at the end of this major incident. The last thing to do is really kind of create a post-mortem, and Biggie can help with that as well. So rather than actually assigning somebody to go and do this and it taking hours to kind of get this information up to date, Biggie can take care of that incident report for us as well. So it can generate the incident report for us, and this can start forming the basis of our RCA report that we can send out at the end of this incident. This incident report is really important because this becomes part of the knowledge that Biggie has moving forward. So anything that was said in the channel here that's important around like linkages between applications is all part of Biggie's knowledge now. So in addition to the CMDB, you also have this information that has come from Biggie's learned knowledge around kind of services that may be affected by this type of application. And we can see our incident report has things like a timeline, it has follow-up actions, and it has an event log of everything that happened. So we can start getting a head start on creating an RCA report for this particular incident. Okay, great. So we've looked at kind of like the incident assistant, and we've looked at how it can help you troubleshoot and get ahead of incidents, how it can help you solve incidents more quickly, and also how it can agentically help you run incidents more effectively. As part of that incident flow, we saw that a change was actually causing a problem, and Biggie can be used to help us with incident prevention as well, which is what we're going to have a look at now. So one of our customers said, hey, look, if Biggie knows all of this information about my historical incidents, my historical changes, all of the RCA reports that we've had in the past, can it predict the risk of a change if I ask it about a change that I'm just about to put in place? And Biggie came back with a very insightful piece of knowledge which prevented a major incident for this particular customer. And so what we've done is we've built that into a capability called incident prevention, which is centered around change risk. So what we're looking at on screen here is effectively a dashboard which is showing all of the changes that we're planning to put into place. And these have been loaded in from our ITSM tool. So these are all coming over from ServiceNow. And what's happening here is that Biggie, the Biggie AI technology, is effectively risk rating all of these different changes based on an objective agentic AI capability. So rather than trusting the change requesters or our CAB board to make assessments about incidents and changes that they may not know much about, we're asking the AI to make those assessments and give us objective risk scores around the changes that are being put in place. And you can see that we've got some high scores at the top here, going right the way through to very low risk scores. And what this can help you do is to speed up the rate of change that you can put changes in. So very low risk changes you might deem to be able to be put through with no CAB approval. But actually these high risk changes should be flagged over to the CAB, and the CAB can be starting to concentrate on changes that are really a risk to the business rather than changes that may not be that important. So let's have a look at how the risk is being calculated, and we're going to concentrate on this risk at the top, this change at the top here. So we've got a bunch of tabs across the top talking about the kind of the different aspects of the change assessment that we've done. But this risk prediction tab really kind of wraps it up in a nutshell for us. So we're looking at kind of 5 key aspects of the change in order to create this risk score. The first one is implementation risk. So based on the change plan itself, what is the risk of us putting this in place? Does the change plan have a rollback policy? Have we done testing within our dev environment? Have we fully documented how that testing has been taken place? So what's the implementation risk of putting this change in place? We can be looking at topology risk as well. So what is the services that we're touching with this particular change? Is it our main single sign-on service, which could affect thousands and thousands of users? Or is this some ETL server which is running batch jobs on a Thursday in a broom cupboard, which actually isn't all of that kind of important to us? The team and individual who are putting this change into place, what's their track record? How good are they at actually putting these kind of changes into place? So let's base the calculated risk on kind of how risky they have been in the past in putting these changes in place. We've got a historical incident risk as well. So these kind of changes, historically, how important have they been? How risky have they been to the business? And then finally, we've got an organization-specific risk here as well, which is really an area where businesses can implement their own risk rating within the overall risk prediction. So as an example, we often have customers who have a risk matrix where they're scoring the risk of a change based on, I don't know, an environment versus the service that's being changed, and that gives some sort of risk calculation, a simplistic risk calculation. That can effectively be brought into our risk calculation and become part of this overall risk prediction. And all of these categories can be weighted accordingly, according to your business as well. So it may be that you really favour that organisation-specific risk. What we're doing is we're not only providing a risk prediction, but we're also providing very clear reasoning around those risk predictions as well. So why are we giving it the risk rating that we're giving? And in this particular case, in the past, similar changes have caused issues when rolling restarts had not been performed on a particular kind of architectural component. And then we're also providing suggested mitigations around these changes as well. So if we want to de-risk these changes, what can we do in order to enact that de-risking? So it might be that we might want to update our change plan to include things like rolling restarts on the Redis cache to make sure that we're kind of like fully ticking off all of the boxes that we should be doing with this particular change. And all of this information is not designed to be isolated from the ITSM tool or from your change management process. All of this information is going to be sent back over to your ServiceNow change. So here is the change request that has been scored. And if we have a look at the notes here, we can see that Biggie's risk assessment has been posted back over as a work note onto our change ticket. And not only is it giving the risk prediction, which can start helping with driving kind of the workflow in ServiceNow around like whether this change goes to our change review board, but it also provides all of that risk reasoning around the risk of the change and also suggested mitigations as well. So our change risk requester can start understanding why this change has been rejected and what they might want to do to kind of update this change in order for it to go through and be approved by the CAB more quickly, either this time or in the future. Okay, so that's where I just wanted to finish off today. We've covered quite a lot very quickly. Our incident assistant, Biggie, as well as our incident prevention capability, which is really around change risk. And with that, I will hand back over to, I think, Chris, you're going to do a last poll, are you, before we finish?
Please, yeah, Harley, if you could run the last poll to see if the knowledge has gone in for the incident assistant. And hopefully today it's been an eye-opener in terms of some of the top technology that sits outside of IT service management. Just on this question alone, I had one example of a customer that was spending 16 to 30 hours on each incident where they had to write a post-mortem. They had around 20 of those incidents a week. So you can imagine that's quite a long time to do quite a lot of manual work. So it's interesting to see some of these answers come in. Great. So just to read out, so the two metrics that Incident Assistant can help improve for major incident management process are ultimately the MTTR and the post-incident documentation time. So congratulations to those just 5 people that got it right, and congratulations to everyone that got all 3 right over the series of the presentation. That's everything from us. Thank you very much for joining. Hope it's been eye-opening, and feel free to connect with either Richard or myself to learn more about BigPanda. Thank you.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks, Chris. Absolutely brilliant. I'm hearing some great things about BigPanda in the ITSM industry. That efficiency saving is quite phenomenal of what it's doing in the background. And I did love that stat you shared about the majority of major incidents sort of being caused by us, which is absolutely staggering. I wasn't aware it was that sort of level. So as I always say, I probably want to say something a bit silly, that and apologies to every other ITSM vendor out there, but BigPanda, that's got to be the best name in the ITSM industry, isn't it? I just, I'm sure you've heard this before, but it's really cool. But on a more serious point, to everybody listening live or on demand, Richard did a great job of showing probably just a small part of the power of Biggie and the BigPanda platform, and Chris did a brilliant job of positioning it all. As I say, I'm hearing some really good things about the organization, the product, the platform. Please do reach out to them directly. Get a full-blown demo where they can really talk about your challenges and show you the power of the platform. Trying to show a platform and a product that is that powerful in 20 minutes, you did an amazing job. So please reach out directly to the guys. I'm sure they'd love to hear from you. We do have a couple of questions, team, if that's okay. We're just about time, but I'm going to put these questions in anyway. What is the right approach to data quality when getting started with AI in ITSM?
Yeah, maybe I'll take it first, and Richard, you can add to that. So I think everyone that we speak to has some concerns around data quality. It's perfectly natural, whether it's outdated, whether it's inaccurate, and things like that. But what we say to most organizations is, don't spend the next 12 to 18 months trying to improve your data quality, because A, by the time it's up to date, it will be out of date again, and B, you'll be 12 to 18 months behind the competition. And so your data is only ever going to be as bad as how it starts on day one. And the power of things that Richard just showed is that AI can then do all of the documentation for you. It can help you improve the quality of data. So it's always going to improve over time from day one, essentially. And we can also help you identify gaps in data quality as well, so that you've then got kind of targeted projects of where you need to go and fix or update accordingly.
Brilliant stuff. The second question we had was, I think, a bit of understanding about BigPanda and what you do and how you can help. And it's, how do you help and support teams to drive change in their organization?
Yeah, I think it's the biggest question that we get asked in terms of change management. So the technology's there, it's great, it looks exciting, but how do I bring this into my organization? And we have a lot of experience with that, with some of the world's leading brands and biggest organizations. And what we say is that we need a couple of things. We need a strong kind of executive buy-in to really kind of want to drive change. We need good alignment to like success criteria and business pain. Pick the 2 or 3 things that you're really struggling with today that you can quantify and show some quick results. And then the third thing is around the team and the partnership. So we have our own professional services teams. We have a great network of partners that have been through this process before and can share our understanding and knowledge.
Yeah, fantastic, great answer. I thought that was going to take you about an hour to get through that answer, Chris. So well done. Once again, thank you to BigPanda, thank you to Richard and Chris. Please do reach out to them. They've just scratched the surface of the power there. So, and I think I'm certainly someone who works in industry, has worked in industry. I think a lot of people look at that and think about that. Not just the time saving, but it's actually the power of collaboration and the bottom line, why we're here to fix things quicker. So yeah, that was seriously impressive. Richard, Chris, thank you ever so much. Look forward to seeing you again on one of these in the future, and really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.